Alright, are we rolling? We're rolling. I wanted to shoot a little video going over my insect feeder setup here. Kind of what I breed and produce for my reptiles. Here we're looking at my superworm bin. It's basically just a layer of soil. Then on top of that I put a layer of oats, which they're running low on. And then we just got a few little tree bark and decaying wood as stuff for them to hide and crawl around in. Do a little look here as to what's going on. Find a good pile of them. There they are. There they are. There's a ton more buried under some of these other logs as well, if I could find them. Not seeing too many right now. Oh, there's a bunch. There's a bunch. Okay. And we just have a little bit of a compost pile over here for them to eat and lay their eggs in. I know I've seen on YouTube a lot of people do kind of a rack-like system where you have the beetles up top and then you have your like a screen under them so that the eggs sift through and go to the next container below that where your babies will hatch out. And then you put the growing adult worms in the bottom container below that. But I prefer to have it in just one little, well, it's not little, but one decent sized container. This right here is snake shedding. I decided just to toss that in there for them, see what they would do with it. They are shredding it to pieces. I don't know if they're eating it. They might be. Or if they're just chewing it all to pieces. But in either event, they're interested in it. And they crawl around in it, hide in it. So we toss that in there for them. Right now I currently have about, I don't know, there's maybe 20 beetles in here. There goes a beetle right now. And I've got about 20 more pupating, getting ready to put the next generation in here. I'll pick out about 40 or 50 worms to pupate to start the next generation. Do that about once a year maybe. At least that's what it's been so far. Then they'll lay thousands of eggs and we'll get thousands of little babies. And the whole process continues. Alright, that's that for superworms. Next we have our mealworm container. It's basically the same thing, just a little bit smaller. Let's see if they've eaten any of their carrot. Oh yeah, look at them under there. Chowing away on it. Good job, guys. I've got way too many beetles. With these guys, they won't really pupate until they're isolated and feel secure. Because they're worried about their brothers and sisters eating them. These guys don't have that worry. They just pupate because they don't really cannibalize each other. And you get hundreds and hundreds of beetles. I don't know if you can see them in there. Tons of beetles. What I should start doing is taking most of the mealworms out and refrigerating them to preserve and elongate their lifespan as the mealworm phase, but I don't really feed that many mealworms to my critters. They're more of just kind of a bit of a change up variety. And down here, this is also a mealworm container. More of the same. Just a little smaller setup. And over here, look what we got. Is he still there? Where'd he go? I just saw him. This is my snail container. I've raised these guys up from little babies I found out in the garden. There he is. I knew I spotted him. Look at that, we got a beetle in here. This is a superworm beetle. They've been hatching out in here. This used to be a superworm container, or this used to be an enclosure for my superworms. So there's still eggs in here that hatch out every now and then. And we get a beetle. Or eggs. There were eggs. They grew up into superworms that live down in the soil, and then they pupate and hatch out into beetles. So we're still getting some of those in here. But yeah, we've got snails in here. Now, nobody really eats these snails, but they're just kind of fun. They're cute. I enjoy the process of, housing and caring for these little insects. It's not even so much just about having feeders on hand for my reptiles, which that is the primary purpose, but I also enjoy keeping these insects. It's just kind of a fun little hobby. Kind of observing their life cycles and caring for them and tending for them. It's fun. So we got snails in here. I don't know if I said it already, but I haven't really produced any baby snails just yet. I don't know how long it takes before they start producing. I gotta come in here and clean this down a little bit. Ooh, let me squish you, bud. Clean off the glass. I'd move stuff around and show you behind that board, but I don't want to accidentally squish anybody because I'm working with one hand here. So we'll leave well enough alone on that one. Found me an extra superworm beetle. That's nice. Find one popping out every so often. Alright, now to the good stuff. I just got these guys. Keep them covered with a t-shirt because I enjoy their privacy. But what we have in here are red runners. Red runner roaches. See if we can get a glimpse. Oh, there we are. It's kind of dark. You can't see down in there too great. But, yeah. Oh, sorry, bud. I just want to get a look at you. This is still a relatively young project. I bought a container of 500 tiny little babies. They were probably about the size of an ant when I got them. And they are currently growing up into adults. They're not yet full grown. It's probably going to take about another 2 months before they're fully mature and able to lay eggs. And then once they start laying, maybe another few weeks before the eggs hatch and I complete the cycle of creating a new generation of red runner roaches, which will be exciting. I started out with about a colony of 500, which is more or less what's in there now. And once they start laying, we should have thousands upon thousands upon thousands, which will be nice. And over here, we might need to turn on the light. We have my Dubia Roach colony, which is my oldest insect colony I have here. Let's see. I started this in the summer of 2020. I had about 100 roaches maybe. Started out with 100. A bunch of those died off. But now they are definitely reestablished and doing great. We've literally got thousands. Thousands of roaches. It's just more than I could ever do anything with. More than I could ever do anything with. But it's nice to have a nice healthy colony of roaches. And like I said, it's fun. This is kind of a little hobby too. It not just provides food for my reptiles, but I kind of enjoy watching them do their little bug life thing. I don't know if you can see down in there, there's literally hundreds. Hundreds and hundreds on each row. Certain someone's watching this, they're probably going to have nightmares. But yes, I enjoy looking after and caring for my roach colony. It's been a great success. Right now we got some oatmeal in there for them, a carrot, a little bit of lettuce, some grapes. It's a bit of the frass I've swept to the side. They kind of enjoy running around on that. The little ones will bury themselves in there. Gives them some traction. I keep it swept to one side, or try to. Then when it builds up too high, we'll remove some of it. Makes good garden compost, fertilizer, whatever you want to call it. And we've got one more thing. Well, before we show you that, let's show you our station of pupating superworms. There's 20 here right now pupating. You separate them out so that they feel comfortable enough to go into the pupating stage. Don't give them any food or water, and they'll start doing their thing. This is a relatively new project as well. We've got in here our crickets. I've never really attempted to breed crickets before. This is a new project. I bought about 50 from the feed store. And from that, I let them lay in these lay boxes over here. And I don't know, I think I got about, let's see here, if we can get a better view of how many are actually in here. Oh, there they go. There they go. I've got about 1,000 now, maybe, between this and this. They're still small. They're growing out, and I will consider it a success once I've completed the life cycle of a new generation of crickets. So going from hatchlings to full adults to laying eggs and hatching those eggs into babies, completing a successful new generation of crickets. That is when I will know I will be able to successfully maintain a cricket supply. And that's that. I think that's everything. Superworms, mealworms, red runners, dubias, snails, crickets. That's what we're working with right now. You know, part of it's just the fun. It's almost like a little science experiment you have fun with. It's like keeping the reptiles. It's a fascinating process, watching the life cycle run its course and do its thing. from generation to generation. There's also one other species of insects I want to work with once I can find some. I've got the well, I made a little mesh enclosure. I want to get some grasshoppers and start producing those. From what my research tells me, though, they need UVB, so I will be housing them outside in a little mesh container I've created. Perhaps once I get that project underway, I'll do a video on that. If I can find grasshoppers. I used to have them running all over my yard here, but they are getting harder and harder to find. I'm going to have to go out into the field, out on a little expedition, and find me some grasshoppers. That'll be fun times. But I guess that's it for now. Is there anything else? Nope. This video's long enough as it is, probably. Well, that's my insect feeder setup. Eventually it'll evolve from this. I want to have about maybe 3 containers of this size of super worms. Oh no, actually, scratch that. 2 containers this size of super worms. I want to transfer my mealworms from that into a container this size. So I just have 1 container of mealworms. And then I want to get all my roaches and crickets in bins set up here in a rack-like system that I'm going to make. So clear off this bed. Have these bins on the bottom. Build a rack-like system out of wood and have a row of crickets. And on top of that, a row of red runners. And on top of that, a row of Dubia Roaches. And then we'll find a place to stash my snails. If they're successful in breeding. I'm still holding out hope that they'll eventually lay eggs and produce a future generation of snails. But yeah, that's future plans. And we'll be doing, I think I measured it out, we can do 4 bins across here and a stack of 3. So we'll have the super worms on the bottom in these shorter bins, and then a stack of 3 of these red containers in rows of 4 along here. Kind of organize everything a little bit better. That's later on down the road, though, when I have the time and the extra money on hand to get that project underway. For now, though, this is making do and more than enough. Alright, I should cut this video short here. See ya.